Good morning, Hustle Nation. Hey, today's episode, we're talking ignorance of the laws of success is not an excuse, people. We have a special guest, Attorney Thomas H Clifton, is joining us, and we're wrapping up Black Economic Empowerment Week here on the Cortez Hustle Show. And we're going to talk about the laws that are in place for you to win economically and the universal laws that you should be subscribing to if you want to have success in any area of your life. So y'all know how we do, man. Go ahead and comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand. Just don't share any links. And we're going to get this show rocking and rolling. Let's do it. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, Hustle Nation, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show this morning. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, also known as the one and only financial health mentor, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur from monetizemylifeacademy.com. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you all got a gift, talent, special ability that God gave you for free. Or as my girl, Lisa Santiago McNeil says, sometimes you have to pay with pain for some of the experiences that you have. But guess what? All of those things have value, which means you can monetize those things. And I got a boot camp coming up next week that will teach you how to turn your knowledge into income by creating digital products that you can market, sell online, build a brand around. All you got to do is comment keyword boot camp, and I'm going to share that link with you. $47. I'm going to show you 9 different ways to turn your knowledge into income, how to build a brand around it, and create systems so you can make some passive income on autopilot. Another quick announcement for today. If you would like to sponsor the Cortez Hustle Show and allow me and my team to get behind your brand and push it forward, then I've got a very, very special offer for you. I need you to comment keyword sponsorship, and I'm going to show you several different ways that you can connect with the show, help the show grow, and at the same time, help yourself. So comment keyword sponsorship, and let me give you the question of the day before I bring on my special guest. Today's question of the day is, what success habits are you developing for 2021? If you answer the question of the day with QOTD and give your answer, then you guys know I take your name, put it in a drawing for a free vacation. And we do that drawing every Wednesday. So the question of the day, what success habits are you developing for 2021? If you have not already, comment in the chat the name of your business and your brand. Shame on you, man, because if you're not shouting you out, I don't know who is. You never know who might want to connect with you based on you sharing a little bit of what you do. Now, It is that time, man. I've been connected to this brother for about 3 or 4 years now, and learning a great deal from him. He's got a background as an attorney, but he's also an amazing business coach and digital marketer as well. So it's always good fun when I get a chance to talk to my good brother, Mr. Thomas H Clifton.
Hey,
Attorney
good
Clifton,
morning.
how
Good
you
morning.
doing, brother?
I'm doing great, brother Cortez. How are you?
I am well this morning. So before we get into your background and all of that stuff and exactly who you are and what you do, I like to kick the show off with a quote of the day. So if you have a quote, you can share yours or you can chime in on mine. I'm going to share mine. And then matter of fact, let me have you just share yours first. So this is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the Thomas H Clifton version.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know my quote comes from an unorthodox place. I actually was ear hustling when I was a child when my mom and pops were watching the Dolomite movies. And there was an old video where Dolomite basically said this: I am who I am, and I'll be the very best of who I am. And for those who don't like it, confidentially, I don't give a damn. For it's better to be hated for who I am than to be loved for who I am not. And so that has resonated with me as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, because if you want to be successful, you got to find your own path. You can't follow everybody else.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now watch this. My quote of the day comes from the Bible.
Outstanding.
So how you follow up Dolomite with scripture? Well, maybe that's the best thing to do. Follow up Dolomite with scripture. But I'm actually paraphrasing 2 scriptures, guys. There's 2 reasons that we perish. We all like to say we perish for lack of knowledge. That is one, and that is a powerful one. But we also perish for lack of vision, right? So we've got to start seeing ourselves better so that we can become the person that we see. And when you can be more, you can do more. And when you can do more, you can have more. So don't let lack of vision and lack of knowledge cause you to perish. And according to Dolomite, be who you gonna be unapologetically, and that's how you win in this game called life. If you guys got a favorite quote, drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you as well. That is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Now, let's get to Thomas H Clifton, man. Who the heck are you?
Hey, man, I'm a country boy from Lewisburg, North Carolina, who grew up on the dirt roads, dirt poor. And my lifespan, from outhouses to courthouses to the boardrooms, you name it, I've been there. And I'm just one of those people, man. I've always had a thirst for knowledge, but also had the ability to take action. And really, my greatest gift is the ability to follow a blueprint or to follow, someone else's example until I can get to the position where I'm trying to go. So for me, it's all about it's all about family. It's all about friendship. It's all about building in the community. That's what's up. That's who Thomas H Clifton is.
Love it, love it, love it. Guys, if you have not already smashed that share button, go ahead and do so. We've got my man Miguel Thornton in the building, Mr. Smell Good 504 tuning in from New Orleans. I love it. Thank you for shouting yourself out there, my brother. Don't forget to answer the question of the day if you want to be entered into the drawing to win the free vacation. And the question is, what success habits are you developing for 2021? So I titled this, Ignorance to the Law is No Excuse, right? And you know that as an attorney, that's something that you don't get away with in the courtroom. Hey, judge, I didn't know, right?
Exactly.
They're not trying to hear that. But when it comes to economic empowerment, especially for us in our community as Black people, there's some ignorance to some man-made laws that are put on the books that I want to dive in with you. And there's also a lot of ignorance to some universal laws, some of God's laws that we really have to get into as well. But I know you're not a tax attorney, but we both know as entrepreneurs, we get to play on a different side of the tax law. Just talk a little bit about some of the laws that make it that make financial freedom available for people when they step into the world of entrepreneurship.
Well, Brother Cortez, it's like you say, I listen to you a lot. I tune in the mornings when I'm on my way to work or when I'm getting ready to go up to my office or go to court. And one of the things I've noticed that you say is that, you know, the United States of America is a business, and the tax code is designed and it gives preferential treatment to business owners and to businesses. And so when we avail ourselves, when we avail ourselves of of the advantages of the tax code by one, making sure that we structure ourselves and conduct ourselves as business owners and as businesses, we get the opportunity to take advantage of everything that's involved in those volumes, those tax advantages, those tax credits, even, you know, loans and investment strategies that most people don't have access to as individuals. So for me, that's one of the first things that I noticed, you know, going from being straight up poor to starting a business.
Love it, love it, love it. And and people don't realize this, that everybody in America is born a sole proprietor. Your social security number is the EIN number also, correct?
Yes, that's how they follow you. That's how they track you. Think about it. You're paying taxes. They're tracking your money. You talk about laws. This may not be, you know, an on the books law, but one of the things I learned very, very early on as a young entrepreneur with my first law office was that if you don't have a plan for your money, everybody else, including your Uncle Sam and your Aunt Iris, will have a serious plan for your money. And so learning those laws, how to structure it, how to create a flow, how to protect it within the law, not hide it, not write all of it off, keep it up under the table, all those things that we know go on every single day, not putting it in my children's name unless there's a tax advantage in it and I'm allowed to do so by the code. And I know that's one of your areas of expertise is how to shift it at times, but you do it the right way. Because when you do, you can take advantage of every loophole that the government offers. And I never forget, I took a tax class in law school. And my tax professor was kind of, he was an expert in tax law. He wrote several books and treatises on it. And I never forget, that was the one thing that stuck out in my mind was that we as citizens have the right to take advantage of every legal deduction or loophole, whatever you want to call it, in that tax code. We have that right. We have to dig and look. So take the time to assemble a team. We're talking about laws. Here's one of Thomas Clifton's universal laws, and I learned this through experience also. Don't try to be a jack of all trades. Find professional people that know what they're doing. Pay them to help you structure your plan. Because remember, you have to have a plan for your business because Uncle Sam and Aunt Iris got one for you. And so does Mom, Pop, Uncle June, and everybody else. Yeah. And trust me, you will make money. Nobody goes into business just to be doing something. We go into it to make money, and you'll accumulate revenue faster than you ever imagined. But if you do the dumb stuff like I did in the beginning, you won't think about taxes until the end. And that is a bad plan, an extremely bad plan. Trust me.
Love it, love it, love it. And I know you're big on in your business branding blueprint. You help people understand the different structures. And I know we can't give tax advice or legal advice, but speak generally because a lot of people believe that they are getting over on Uncle Sam because, hey, I do nails or lashes out of my kitchen and I get paid cash. That's money I don't have to report, right? Or I'm a mechanic, so I'm not going to necessarily legitimize my business because this is cash. I don't have to report that. But talk about some of the protections and from the tax game, they're leaving a lot of money on the table by not legitimizing the business, right?
Exactly. Again, I'm not a tax attorney. My advice is always to seek the counsel and consultation from a qualified tax preparer, tax consultant, CPA, accountant, or tax attorney. What I will say though, generally, is that you're absolutely right. You can't hide it. It's the federal government. They've got the power to research everything that you do. So you may think taking that cash and then going straight out and buying that new motorcycle or that Corvette. I'm 47 years old. I've got dreams of midlife crisis. I can't have a Corvette yet, according to my wife, though. But in any event, you may have dreams of hiding that money and doing that and thinking that the government will never find out. But guess what? There's this thing called an audit that literally makes me sweat. That word makes me sweat, makes my heart race. That's why I deal with professionals who tell me the truth.
Right. If
the government randomly selects you and they audit you, they're gonna trace the source of funds for your assets. They're gonna require you to produce proof of where you got the funds for it. And if you can't produce proof of where your money's coming, they're going to impute income to you one way or the other. That's what they do. They've got a whole army of attorneys, CPAs, forensic CPAs, you name it. They've got the power of the federal government behind them. What do you really think that you're going to hide from them? So from that vantage point, why not sit down and take the time, meet with a professional, and develop a strategy? Fear is a big thing for me because we kind of operate from a place of fear a lot of times because we've got so much riding on what we do. But don't let that fear stifle you in building your business, because it can deprive you. And I'm speaking from personal experience, because in the beginning, I had no business experience whatsoever. So I made a lot of the major mistakes. That's what kind of helped me get into coaching and consulting, because we found out I've got a wealth of knowledge with a lot of things because of the stupid stuff that I did in the very beginning. And praise God, I've got a very good financial advisor right now. And I'll call him. Hey, man, his name's Marcus Fryer. I'll say, hey, Marcus, I'm about to buy a boat. Should I put that boat in the business's name? And Marcus will very quickly say, Thomas, the IRS is not going to believe that you're going to take that boat and take out your criminal clients. 90% of your clients in your business are criminal or charged with crimes. IRS is not going to believe you spending 90% of the time out on the water with these people on that boat. It's a personal purchase. You're going to spend after-tax money to get it, and then you're going to be taxed on it when you have it as a luxury item, depending on what it is. Suck it up, deal with it. Right. That's what Thomas H. Clifton needed to hear, because there were times I dealt with people. I dealt with June's uncle or cousin Pete's sister-in-law who knows how to do taxes. I've got friends that I went to college with that literally did federal time because they were doing people's taxes and giving them dependents and things like that and deductions that they didn't qualify for. And that's real. That's straight up real. Tom's not built for prison at all.
and that's we got to come out of that get over mentality. And when you really look at it, it ain't even worth it when, especially in 2021. Now, if you come from the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, I don't know nothing about that. You might be able to make a case. But in 2021, there's too many legitimate ways to pick up this thing right here and go out and get you some doggone money and secure the bag, as the young folks say. So I want to really spend the bulk of our time talking about some of the universal laws and principles. And I just wrote down the 15 that comes in this big joker right here, right? This is Napoleon Hill's laws of success, right? This mug is like Bible thick, right? But let's just dive in, because we know people want to be successful. We know people want to win, and there's certain things that if you make them part of your character and you do them habitually, then we could really cut down that curve of getting to our successes. Number one, he talked about the definite chief aim, right? And I talked about in the quote of the day, man, we are perishing for lack of vision and lack of knowledge. And heck, some of us don't even know that we need a vision. So we doubly screwed, right? But let's talk about the importance of that definite chief aim from your perspective.
Well, first, we live in the most technological society ever. Mm-hmm. Cortez, if you and I were going on a trip and we've never been to the destination where we're seeking to go, what's the first thing we do? We pull out the phone.
Yes.
Pull out the phone. We put it in the GPS, and the GPS gives us directions on how to get there. Now, we may twist left, turn right, go up, come back, turn around, but they're giving us a track to get to that destination. And if we follow it accordingly and use some common sense, eventually we get there. And usually we get there in a pretty reasonable amount of time. Right. Now, we can get out here and just say, hey, I'm going to build a business and I'm going to, just start taking clients and and just see what happens. And we may be successful. Mm-hmm. But the chances are of you getting to a specific point that you want to get to, that law to me is a quintessential one, because I tell young lawyers when they get started, I've been practicing law 20 years. 20 years, 2 years as an assistant DA. The rest of that's been in private practice, either with a partner. I've had 2 different partners, or on my own with my own practice by myself. So from that standpoint, what I tell people is have a plan on where you want to go, but also have an exit plan, an exit strategy, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself wandering around. And before you know it, you're 47 years old. Your mustache is gray. Your eyebrows are sticking out like Andy Rooney's when he was on 60 Minutes, like caterpillars. And all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't feel like doing this every day. Give you a quick example. I had a colleague of mine a couple of days ago. We were finishing court, walking out the back of the courthouse, and we were talking about just cases. And he had a murder trial that he was working on, and he was like, "Hey, you need to get back into handling murder cases and doing the capital defenders list, where you basically do court-appointed murder cases." And I looked at him and I told him, "Look, I didn't enjoy that type of work when I did it. Number one, I had to be honest with who I am,
right,
off the bat." Two, I realized that if I was going to continue doing that type of work, it was going to deprive me of time with my family. So I made a choice. I had a plan, an exit strategy. Certain things I stopped doing in my mid-30s because I knew that my kids were getting older. They were hitting their teenage years. There was a lot of stuff I didn't want to miss, and I've been there to do it. That's more important to me than my status or reputation. It's also important to the clientele that I would have represented, because they didn't need an attorney that was distracted, that couldn't be totally focused on what they were dealing with, because it was that serious. So for me, yes, you have to have a destination. You need to have a vision on where you're trying to go, and then set a course.
Love it, love it, love it. So you guys know it is 7:21. So y'all know what time that is. It's time for the 1 minute motivation, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas, every day on the Cortez Hustle Show, I do something called 1 minute motivation, where I play a short 1 minute motivational clip, usually 60 to 90 seconds of something that inspired me. In the morning, I work out and I listen, and I'm big on personal growth and self-development. And I'm big on helping my audience understand that everything is personal growth and self-development. It's not just when you're doing something positive. Yeah, I can pick up a book like this, and that's personal growth and self-development, most people think. But it is also personal growth and self-development when I go turn on Tupac, because sometimes I'm in that mood when I work out. That's also developing my mind. So everything you consume is personal growth and self-development. I just hope you're growing in the direction that you want to go. So I always ask my guests to take down at least one takeaway, and we'll share. I'll give a couple takeaways, and I want the audience to give a few takeaways from this as well. This is Mel Robbins, man. Some great stuff for about 90 seconds. So 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
I have a question. Are you frustrated because you haven't made it yet? Be honest. You start to think, I'm never going to find the time to make it happen. You'll never be talented enough. You could never be that funny, smart, or innovative, right? The truth is, 1 million likes online doesn't mean anything until you like yourself. $1 million in the bank ain't worth nothing if you've got no self-worth. So before you give up, you have to understand the only thing that matters is the work that you're putting in, not the end result. And if your social media feeds are bringing you down, just remember, you're only seeing the end game. Anyone who is truly successful did one thing, and it's the same thing that we all do. They put in the work. And that work is what you don't see online. Every single day you make choices. You choose to drive or you choose to slide into the passenger seat of life. Which is it going to be? The thoughts you allow yourself to spend time on determine if you get what you want, because your dreams matter, but you're the one who's going to have to make them happen. I mean, look at this post from Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton. This was 3 years before Hamilton hit Broadway, and he was ready to give up. Ed Sheeran, he was working on his dreams way before he was a Grammy Award-winning artist. Are you working? If you're not working, are you waiting for permission? Stop. You don't need permission. You just need to push yourself.
Woo-wee. That's what I wake up to every morning, man. I try to feed myself and get myself going in the right direction every morning. So what did you grab from that one or two takeaways, brother?
Brother, that was so powerful. And I'm like you, it hit on something that I've dealt with myself. We all deal with it. Self-doubt. feeling like we're not worthy. Well, one of the things that I had to constantly remind myself is that, Tom, you're created in the image of the creator, the ultimate author of everything. So why in the world would you doubt whether or not you've got the ability? He's already told you it's within you. So if I'm doubting myself, I'm doubting God.
That's deep. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff that jumped out on me. You know, 1 million likes, but you don't like yourself, right? $1 million, but you don't have any self-worth, right? A lot of people are putting their stock in the wrong stuff. The only thing that matters is the work, not the end result, right? When you fall in love with the process, it is game on. As a youth basketball coach and trainer, I would tell my sons, who I train primarily, but other kids in the community, and I coached the AAU team for about 6 years. I would tell them this, Thomas: the good players love the game, but the great players love to train. It's the process. There's a reason Kobe Bryant said he got up at 4:30 in the morning, because he heard Dwayne Wade and the rest of those guys was getting up at 5. Ain't no way y'all getting up before me, right? And if he heard that they were getting up at 4:30, he would be up at 3:30, right? You've got to fall in love with the process. It's the work. And so many of us are running away from the work, ladies and gentlemen. Just get to it, get it over with. Always remember this: successful people do things that unsuccessful people don't, not because we like them. That's the problem. People think that we like doing the things that other people don't do. No, they're just necessary. So get them done. That is 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by LiveFreeAcademy.com. That's Thomas Clifton's program where you can catch up with him and all things that he's got going on. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. Hopefully I got that website right, Live Free Academy.
Absolutely perfect. LiveFreeAcademy.com. Just check it out. I think website may still be a work in progress, but it's up and running. So come over and check me out. Got a couple of links on there and stuff like that. Some good stuff we give away. So yeah, definitely check me out.
Love it, love it, love it. So we're going to continue, man. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if I went into the courtroom because I got pulled over for doing 100 in a 45, and I went to court, and the judge said, "Son, you're driving recklessly," and I say, "Your Honor, I didn't see a sign posted that said I couldn't do 100." What is the judge going to tell me, Thomas?
Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. You're still going to be held accountable.
Same thing goes with your success in life. I believe that we're all going to get to meet our Creator when it's all over. And you're going to have to give an account of what you did with what He gave you. And ignorance of the laws of success is no excuse for Him either. I gave you everything you needed to win. If you didn't win, you have no excuse not to. So we're looking at some of the laws, the universal laws and principles for success. The next one on the list, Thomas, is, and you alluded to this one in your Dolomite quote, right? Self-confidence, man. Self-confidence. How important is it to develop that? And do you have a favorite hack that you could, prescribe to help people develop that self-confidence?
I think right off the bat, one of the things you touched on when we were talking about the motivational quote is understanding that the work that you put in, not during the game, but in practice, those things that you do to prepare yourself, that's one of the best motivating factors, because it may not happen right off. Cortez, I know you're a coach, so you know this. It may take thousands of practice hours before you get a particular technique correct. But when it hits, it gives you all the motivation in the world. I'm sitting here thinking about my old days playing ball and stuff like that, and just getting goosebumps thinking about the one time I did something right, and it took me so long to learn how to do that. But once you get it, That gives you confidence to continue trying. And it also teaches you to trust the process. And like you say, you may not absolutely love the work, but enjoy what the work can give you, what the work will do for you.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, you got to be self-confident and that belief in yourself. Going back to scripture, all things are possible for they that believe, him, her,
Amen.
however you want to phrase it. It didn't say all things are possible for the person who's got a wife that believes. It didn't say all things are possible for the person who's got a mom or parents that believe. It didn't say all things are possible for the person who's got homeboys or homegirls that believe. A lot of times those are going to be the last people that believe. They're only going to believe after they see it. But you got to see it first in order to believe it. And that's where vision comes in. So definitely self-confidence is huge. Initiative and leadership, right? Initiative and leadership. You heard Mel Robbins say, stop waiting on other people to give you permission, right? So what are your thoughts on developing the habit of taking the proper initiatives?
Well, the thing about that is, as we were sitting there listening to that, I thought about, and you're absolutely right. Again, going to the scriptures, going to our Father. He's given us the ultimate permission. He's given us examples. You talk about the talents and the gifts we're given and making an account. We see the parable of the talents. Mm-hmm. Each servant was held accountable for what he did. I think the key is realizing that what God has blessed us with, those gifts, those talents, the experiences we've gained, they're not essentially just for us. Yeah. They're for others. There are people out there right now, Cortez, if you weren't on this show, if you didn't have this show, if you weren't doing the things that you are doing, there are a lot of people who would still be failing. They would be wandering around in the wilderness because they don't see the light. They don't have someone to guide them. So stop thinking from a selfish point. And if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the laws also, is understanding that one of the quickest ways to become successful is to help other people reach their success. Yeah. And not from a standpoint of, well, if I help you, I'm gonna get paid. So that's why I'm doing it. No, do it from your heart. Understand that you have to have a passion for those that you're leading. Yeah. We're all experts at something. We've all done things. And go back to your childhood. We learned quicker from our peers than we did from our parents or anybody else. Couldn't ride a bike, let your cousin come around and ride the bike. You'd be riding the bike within the same day. Yep. All of a sudden, it didn't hurt as bad when you fell. You weren't as afraid because I saw my cousin or my brother doing it. Well, it's the same thing in life. We can all win. God's designed it so we should all win. He told us we can all win. So why in the world are we sitting on the sidelines, wondering, waiting, and like you said, worrying about what somebody else is going to think about what we're doing? You don't need their permission. You got everything you need right now to succeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that really is holding people back is their fear. And I have a theory I've been working on that most fear, I would say in the low to mid 90 percentile, that fear is derived from what we think other people are going to think about us. And first, I like to tell people this: what other people thinking ain't none of my business. Literally,
none whatsoever.
Ain't none of my business what's going on in your head. And I'd be doggone, Thomas, if I let this not even what they're thinking. This is what I think they're thinking. And it's causing me to not take an action. Real quick, guys, if you have not answered the question of the day is, what success habits are you developing for 2021? If you put QOTD before your answer, that lets my team know that you want to be entered into the drawing, and we want to give away a free vacation. We do that drawing every Wednesday. And shout out to my man, Amari, who actually won this week's drawing. And he chose to go to Miami, came right on time. He's like, bro, I got family in Miami, so that's going to be dope.
Man, that's what's up.
Answer question of the day, QOTD, and give your answer. What success habits are you developing for 2021? This is a huge one for me. And I used to think that this was a liability. This is why it's important for you to have people pouring into your life, right? Imagination. Right. I used to think that because I had this vivid imagination that something was wrong. It's like, because the people around me, because I couldn't paint the picture for them for what I was seeing in my imagination. And it troubled me until I realized that, no, that's what sets you apart. You're a visionary leader, and everybody ain't supposed to see it, right? And that was important. So do you have any thoughts on the power of imagination, right?
Well, I'll share a story with you that I heard years ago. And this goes right back to what we were talking about. You were talking about your days coaching and training. I can't remember which book I read it in, but I was reading something by Michael Jordan, and he talked about, just having that imagination, being able to dream.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Jordan is a visionary leader. And he talked about when he was back at UNC Chapel Hill, 1982, they hadn't won the championship yet, but they were getting ready to play in the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, the team gets on the bus and they're heading to the arena to play. And he's kind of sitting on the bus, sitting up against the window. I think he said he had his headphones on, just kind of halfway between sleep and being awake, and just dreaming about the game. He loved the game so much he dreamed about it in vivid color. He's dreaming about the game, and he's dreaming about hitting the game-winning shot. Not in this particular game, just no game in general, but he's just dreaming about playing a whole game, hitting the game-winning shot. And we all know the famous story, 1982, he's told by legendary coach Dean Smith, Mike, if the shot comes to you, knock it in, he hits the shot, he calls it, that transformed him from Mike Jordan to Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
One of the things that stuck out about that story is that he mentioned how he told his father that sometime later on, he told his dad about the dream, and his dad told him, said, son, your life's never going to be the same after that. Dreaming is extremely important.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And we got to make sure that we're giving our children room to dream, and encouraging it and feeding it and fueling it with experiences that will continue to allow those dreams to manifest. Because one of the things that happened to me as a kid is my dad worked 2 jobs when I stayed with him a couple years. And I was always the first kid to daycare, and I was always the last kid picked up because he worked at 2 jobs. So I would get there and there's no other kids for me to play with. So I had to imagine. And then after I played all day, we had good times, all the kids are gone. And my babysitter, Mama Christine, was, in her 60s or 70s or something at the time. So once all the kids were gone, it was just me and her. So I had to imagine, and that developed into a real strength of mine. This other one, man, is one that is so underrated that I hope that people get this. And we always hear people say success loves speed, but success also loves enthusiasm. Talk about the power in being upbeat, full of vigor and energy, and allowing that to radiate.
Enthusiasm, as you can tell, is very big with me. I'm just thankful, man, because the way that I was raised, we were dirt poor. We had nothing. When I tell you, and I'm 47 years old. So you're talking about going back to the 80s. We didn't have adequate indoor plumbing. I didn't have a working toilet until I was basically a senior in high school for a consistent time period. There were some houses we stayed in that did, but if they broke, nobody fixed it because there was no money. There was a bucket placed in the bathroom, and that my job every morning was take that bucket out. Not trying to disgust anybody, it's breakfast time, but either we had that option or we had an outhouse. And so every day I had to find new ways to be enthusiastic and just have some type of joy, because there was not a lot physically to be happy about. But when you find ways to be enthusiastic and you let that shine through you, that's the way God designed us, to have joy in the midst of the worst storms. It will attract people. It will attract the things that you need for you to be successful, the mentors, the people in your life. Sometimes things will happen. I give an example. When I was in law school and my first year, and law school was a struggle for me. So I didn't have the type of grades that anybody would want to, just hand me an internship. But my mother encouraged me to write to a local state senator, and who's an attorney also from my area, or general area. And so I wrote this letter just talking about my family, where we came from, and the obstacles we were overcoming, and just to get to where I was. Did all this great stuff, wrote this great, letter and typed it up and sent it. Forgot to send telephone number that I could be reached by. Now, the way it worked, the senator, he didn't read the mail. His assistant did. A lady named Miss Irma Avent. To this day, that's my godmother, because Irma read my letter. She said moved her so much. I was on campus in my dorm one day, and my mother comes calling me. She goes, "You need to call Miss Irma Avent right now. You need to thank her." And I'm like, "Why? Who is Irma Avent?" She says, "She is the lady who plucked your letter out of the stack of requests for internship, read it, then realized that she didn't have the information to contact you. But you had put me and your father's name in the letter. She got the phone book out and tracked us." Back then, you used phone books, right? And tracked us down and reached out to us. Wow. Not called, because we didn't have phones. She called the neighbors, next door to us. We had, we had a phone number list. Phone was off. She called found out the neighbor, called the neighbors, got them to go over, get my mom to get in contact with me. She didn't have to do that. Yeah. Yeah. It was the enthusiasm that she said came through that, because it wasn't a letter of doom and gloom. We go through things. The things we go through are for us, not, done for us, not done to us. And sometimes God will take you through those storms. So be cheerful when you give your testimony.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that is so powerful, man. And time after time after time, an example after an example, if you can't turn on any movie and not see that. And sometimes we take it for granted, but no, man, I had my sister at one point, was down and going through something and talking about it being cloudy and over her life. And I was like, you got to understand one thing, sis. It might be cloudy, it might be raining and still and thunderstorming throughout the day, but the sun is still shining.
Amen.
We just can't see it because of the clouds, but it's still there. And some of us are bringing that rain on ourselves too.
Yes, sir. Preach, brother, preach.
So we're talking about laws of success, guys. Question of the day: what success habits are you developing for 2021? Put QOTD in your answer. Miguel says consistency. Embodying consistency in 2021. Diamond Anderson says, I'm trusting myself more. Huge success habit there. Let's lean into that one a little bit, Thomas, because you talked about that in your quote from Dolomite early on, but we got some new people hopping on. But talk about how you had to trust in yourself, but then also trust that intuition in that gut when you were making certain moves, because it didn't take long for you in your history as, a public attorney for the state to say, man, I got to go out and do my own thing. And that was unheard of for such a new attorney to. So talk about trusting in yourself and trusting your gut.
It all kind of ties in a lot. What a lot of people don't realize is even before I went to the district attorney's office, I started my first law practice right out of law school, which was really frowned upon by most people. And most law professors, even my academic advisor, who's probably one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life. Big ups to Professor Thomas M. Ringer, brilliant man, absolute Morehouse man, just absolutely brilliant. They didn't advise young lawyers going out on their own because they felt like, we would struggle and there was so much we don't know. And it's true. It's a lot you don't know. Number one, you don't know anything about business. Number two, you really don't know anything about practicing law. So from the outside looking in, how can you succeed? Well, the way the story goes, I had another mentor who was my the legendary Professor Irvin Joyner. You guys can look him up from North Carolina Central University School of Law. Irv, I never forget, saw me. He likes for us to call him Irv. Saw me one day and I was looking dejected and just asked me, Clifton, what's wrong with you today? And I kind of told him, I said, well, every time I talk with someone here about my dream of starting my own law practice right out of law school, they shoot me down. The dean has shot me down. Professor Ringer shot me down, and everybody tells me it's a bad move. And he said, well, Clifton, you've been talking to the wrong folk. You need to talk to somebody who's done exactly what you're trying to do. And I was like, well, Professor Joyner, I don't know anybody who's done it. He said, yes, you do, boy. You're looking at him. And this man, I love him to this day. Now, here's a true story. I'm not a prize student. I never got a question right in his class when he asked me. I got every question he ever asked me wrong in his class. Here's one of the most brilliant trial attorneys in the state of North Carolina, civil rights attorney. He's known all over the country. And I'm struggling miserably in his class. But yet he brought me on his wing. He didn't give me any special treatment in class. I had to work like anybody else. But what he did do was let me know that, hey, I'm holding a symposium on starting your own law practice right out of law school. If you're serious, stop by. And I started to meet other people that he had mentored and people who were doing exactly what I wanted to do. He invested in me because I shared my dream with him. I had enough, and it took some courage because I got to the point I didn't want to tell nobody else. I was thinking about just quit law school because I went to law school so I could be my own boss, not so I'd have to go work for anybody else.
Right.
And so going through that process and telling him that, and then, like you said, the moment we had that conversation, I was inspired because of what he invested in me. And so that's part of the reason I do what I do, because I feel like a lot of times, Cortez, we gain knowledge that we take for granted. We have skills and talents that we take for granted. We undervalue them. We underestimate them. But that one thing that you have that you're not even thinking twice about, that could be the bridge that takes someone from failure to success. And you're talking about generations of people who will either prosper or fail because you took the time to share it with them.
Absolutely, man. That's the reason, 2 reasons I do this show every morning, Brother Thomas. That one you just said, because I understand the power of impact in the lives of other people when the right word, and I have to go back to my Christian roots, they call it a Rema word, a right now word, a word that hits somebody in the right season, and that word is the right word, it makes all the difference. That's why I do what I do. That's why I study the way I study. That's why I'm well versed in a lot of stuff, because I don't know what the Spirit is going to put on me to say to y'all every morning. Just so y'all know, some of y'all think that that ain't me, man. I have a general idea of what I want to do, and then I just let the Spirit take over. But the other reason I do it, Cliff, is because I don't want my children and my grandchildren and my great-great-grandchildren have to wonder like I wonder. See, my great-grandfather, George Buchanan, is a former slave sharecropper, and I wonder what he thought as he was going through and creating the legacy of the Buchanan family, who is now this deep in, and hundreds of us. I wonder what was his thought process. See, my kids ain't gonna have to wonder. They're gonna be able to go back and listen, not at what somebody else said, dad thought, granddad thought, great grandpa thought. They're gonna be able to go back and listen and hear the passion in my voice as I'm trying to encourage and uplift our people. So those are 2 reasons I do it. So you got to be around the right people and allow yourself to be poured into by others. Brother Cliff, it is getting close to the top of the hour, and I want to make sure that everybody knows what you got going on in the Live Free Academy and the brand building blueprint.
Okay. First and foremost, Live Free Academy. That's my website. It's kind of like a stopover. You can go by and check out the Live Free Grinding podcast, old episodes. We got new episodes that I'll be dropping pretty soon. As a matter of fact, there's one special guest by the name of Hustle, Cortez Hustle, I think. And I had a good time just interviewing my friends. So that'll definitely be dropping soon. And also, like I said, we got links. I've got a free Facebook group for Live Free Academy, and you guys can access it from there. Just request to join and follow instructions, and you'll get in. And I share tips, strategies, stupid stories about myself, because a lot of the things that that happened to me, I don't mind. It's one thing, Brother Cortez, I learned too, is take ego out of the way. Somebody taught me, I think it was my pastor taught me years ago, that ego means edging God out. So anytime we let ego get in the way of us sharing the lesson, it's not a godly thing. So for me, even if it's embarrassing to me, if I think it's going to help you, I don't mind sharing it. And that to me, that's what business is about. I want to say this too. I'm absolutely blessed being on with you, because I get people from time to time, and I'm sure you get this too. This, man, you talk a whole lot about God in your business. What does God have to do with business? God has everything to do with business. Absolutely everything to do with. And if you don't get that, your business will fail. Eventually it will fail. And more importantly, you're going to fail as a human being.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So before we go and get into the my answer to the question of the day, if you guys have not, a few things, share the show, right? We cannot afford to hoard information, ladies and gentlemen. Other coaches can.
Word.
We don't got that luxury, ladies and gentlemen. So share the show. That's number one. If you have not already commented the name of your business and or your brand, I like to know who's out there because I pray for people's businesses. I see what you got going on, and I might be able to slide you a free resource or something. So always comment and just shout yourself out. That says that you're proud of what you got going on, right? So share the show, but also answer the question of the day, which is what success habits are you developing for 2021? And I'll share a couple of mine here in a second. Always put QOTD so I know you're answering the question of the day. We also do something called freestyle on this show. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to freestyle because I know you got bars, Brother Thomas. But that just means
no. I have no bar. But I was the beatboxer. Look at my lips. I was the beatboxer.
That was a beatboxer, right? So that just simply means as I'm developing this podcast as the cornerstone of a media empire that will one day surpass Ted Turner and Walt Disney. Someday, I don't always ask the right questions. So I give my guests an opportunity to just freestyle something that you wanted to touch on. We didn't get to. Just give them, 1 to 2 minutes of something that you wanted to share that maybe we just didn't touch on. And I call that the guest freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
Well, I mean, sticking with the theme of what we're already doing, the fact that you even give that, and I love what you said, that you're building a media empire and you're serving. First and foremost in business, think in terms of your customers, your clients, and what you can do to help them. Don't think in terms of yourself. We all have personal financial goals and things of that nature, but think about what you can do to serve those people that you're meant to serve. Dedicate yourself to helping them get results, and you're going to find that your life is going to be accelerated in the process.
Love it, love it, love it. Results, servant leadership, help them get what they want so that you will ultimately get what you want. And that's something that I live by, man. I'm always trying to be a blessing to somebody else's life in some capacity because I understand that ripple effect is very, very real. And I know that it is generational. One person, like I said, that Rema word gets transformation because of something they heard me say that maybe inspired them to go pick up a book or do something else that transforms their life. Not only will their life never be the same, but their children's lives are going to change. The people that they are in their sphere of influence are going to change. The grandchildren. This thing gets so deep. And I love that you said you can't be selfish with your gift because
give it freely.
One thing that I understand well is that some people are caught out here trying to be independent, right? Some people are caught out here being dependent. Some people are stuck in being codependent, right? But that ain't how God created this thing. God created it for us to be interdependent, for us to depend on one another. So you withholding your gift could be delaying somebody else unlocking their gift. So do not be stingy with your gifts, people. Let me go through question of the day. A few people answered the question of the day. What success habits are they working on in 2021? Rhonda says, coming out of my comfort zone. That's a huge one. Listen, man, there's a lot of safety and security in the comfort zone, but know this, nothing ever grows there. Nothing ever grows there. Understand that. Shiro says, finishing, man. Yeah. Finishing is huge. That is something that I'm growing through as well. I start stuff all the time. Right?
Amen. So do I. You're not alone, sister. I'm doing the same thing.
It's the finishing. So I love that, Shiro. Miguel says consistency, embodying consistency in 2021. And Diamond said, Anderson says, trusting in myself more. I think one of the things that I am, did you want to share one of yours?
Just one of the things that I'm working on for me for success habits, believe it or not, is resting more. I have a tendency to deny myself rest. And I was taught this not too long ago, and I've been guilty of doing this. I learned that anything, God designed us where we have to have sleep in order to replenish. God never sleeps. He doesn't have to.
Right.
So anything that deprives us of sleep is ungodly. I mean, it's not meant for us to carry. We don't have the shoulders or the strength to carry it. We're supposed to turn that over to God. Me being the person who I am, I'm a big, strong guy. I can handle anything. Well, depriving myself of sleep also deprives me of the opportunity to really dream also. Wow. So resting, finding periods of rest where you break away, take away, because I have a tendency to over obsess with business. I'm obsessed with results for my clients, and I'll let that creep into my personal and private life also. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, for me, is there is a place for obsession, because if you think about all the greats, you think Elon Musk ain't obsessed with getting to Mars. You think Jeff Bezos ain't obsessed with building $1 trillion company. You think Steve Jobs wasn't obsessed. You think LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, those guys aren't obsessed. Don't let obsession become a bad word for you. It is. But for me, it is being present, right? I have, because the way my mind works, when it comes to this marketing stuff, I can't watch a commercial, right? And not just go there. I'm spent and I'm watching TV with my wife, right? And I'm supposed to be present with her, right? My kids come around and they start talking about what's going on in our life. And I'm like, man, if you just built a funnel around that, you can monetize that thing. And I'm, hey, Dad, listen, I ain't trying to build a funnel around nothing. I'm just trying to share with you. So being present is a success habit that I am working on developing, because I understand that genuine connection is a very, very powerful thing. And when you don't know how to be present, you miss the opportunity to create those genuine connections. And like the connection you and I have, brother. And matter of fact, I've got to call Brother Bless because he connected us. And I haven't spoken to him in a while. I missed a call from him a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to reach out to him today. But you miss those opportunities for genuine connections. And when you don't have the genuine connection, you don't know who you could serve or who you could impact. So being present is one of the success habits that I am working on today. Real quick, one more time, how can they get in touch with you before we sign off?
Just head on over to livefreeacademy.com. Reach out to me through Live Free Academy, and let's connect. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been listening to and learning from Mr. Thomas H. Clifton, attorney Thomas H. Clifton from livefreeacademy.com. You guys know I'll put all the contact information in the show notes. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in. And y'all know how we do, man. Until I talk to you guys next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.